Well, every team is different, and even though you look at our roster and there are a lot of the same guys, it's going to be a different dynamic. You got guys who are a year older, you got some guys who've gotten better, you got a couple new guys in the fold. How do they integrate themselves? How do roles change? How do they stay the same? So even though you got the same names and the same guys, every team is a new season, a new journey, and we have to find ourselves. I mean, I think that's what we've kind of seen in the preseason is you can't just assume, the group you were and have been are going to be the same. You got to find that chemistry, you got to find that dynamic, and you got to figure out how we can be at our best as a group.
So you're different in terms of leadership?
Well, I think so a little bit. I mean, we're going to miss Sanjay Lumpkin, what he brought, Nate Taphorn. Those guys were great seniors, and they led by example. They were great teammates. We have a core 4 guys that have kind of taken on the leadership of the team, with those 4 returning starters with Bryant, Vic, Scotty, and Derek. And I've really seen those guys emerge and be even more vocal and be even better with the guys. And we're going to need that because, they're going to be the ones to set the tone for how the other guys are going to follow.
We know what these guys can do on the floor, Vic and Scotty and Bryant, but Derek has kind of stepped up his game a little bit. Maybe his ceiling might be a little higher than people thought it would be.
Yeah, I've been really proud of Derek in the offseason. He's really tried to improve in all facets. He's always been a great energy guy, rebounder, defender, and he's trying to add to his offensive package. He wants to be a guy that we can throw the ball to in the post. He's really worked on becoming a better free throw shooter and expanding his range a little bit with his face-up shot. A lot of times last year, teams didn't respect him when he was out on the court. They put a guy in the lane, and he wants to be able to get out there, and if he's open, knock it down and keep defenses honest. So he's an incredibly hard worker. He continues to you look at his body, he's in great shape, he's stronger, he's more athletic, and we're hoping he can emerge as one of the better bigs in the Big Ten this year.
What does the expectation level mean to you guys, if anything?
Well, I mean, we try to talk about, let's try to avoid the stuff we can't control, the outside chatter, as much as possible. And, do you feel good about what people are saying when they say you're good? Absolutely. I mean, that's human nature. But we can't stray from who we've been. I mean, we were the same group of guys that carried a chip on our shoulder because people thought we couldn't win and we couldn't do things. And we proved that to be wrong. Now you can't change just because people are saying you have a chance to be good. You got to be a blue-collar team. You got to have that chip on your shoulder. You got to carry an edge. And I just try to tell the guys all the time, don't believe the good and don't believe the bad. It's always somewhere in the middle. And let's find ourselves and let's figure out how good we can be starting Friday.
Well, these guys seem to be pretty level-headed about that kind of stuff. If you needed something, with the fact that you've been kicked out of your gym for a year, I mean, does that help give you guys a little something to rally around?
I think so. I think for us, having our facility under construction and being in a makeshift, practice gym kind of reminds you of where we all grew up in gyms like this, the small gym that, it takes us back to our core of what got us here, and having to play our home games at All-State and making that our home court. And, you want to carry a little bit of an edge to that. People are trying to make that an excuse, and we can't make it an excuse. It is what it is. That's going to be our setup. We're going to be practicing in here. We're going to be playing in All-State, and we got to figure out how to make that be the best to our advantage. And it all starts on Friday night, which is exciting.
Will it take some time to get used to these guys?
We've tried to get out there. We've been out there a handful of times this fall. We had an inter-squad scrimmage out there one night with game-like referees and cheerleaders and fans, and we've tried to replicate what it's going to be like the best we can. But yeah, it will be a little bit of an adjustment. I mean, you get used to a comfort zone of what you have with your home gym, and now our home is going to be All-State, and I'm hoping the fans will still rally around these guys. It's a great group of guys to watch play. It's a fun team, and we're hoping people will come out and see us and support us just like they did at Welsh Ryan.
You've played for and you've coached some good teams, some great teams, and some teams that kind of failed to meet expectations as well. How do you bridge the gap between being a good team, which I think most people regarded you as last year, and being a great team, which I think is what the expectation, both from yourselves and from the outside world, is saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think, all those things we still have to strive for. I mean, I think and our guys have seen that. We've had really good practices. I think when you're a great team, you sustain excellence, most of the time. you show up every night, you play to a certain standard. And I think we're still striving to that. I think we made a lot of strides. These guys all have since they've been young players. They're understanding what it takes, how to respect every opponent, how to show up every night. But I think the great teams are the ones that find a way, even when things aren't going well, to rally together and find a way to win through their defense or whatever's going on in that particular night. So those things are still up for grabs with this group. I mean, that's what I'm saying. We're still very, very much in a starting stage of who we are as a team. I think we understand that you can't skip steps along the way. You have to approach November as it's November. And I think our guys know you cannot look ahead in the college basketball season, because if you're not ready to play, you can lose to anybody on your schedule. And that's something that our guys need to embrace, and we need to be ready to go Friday night. And I know it's a cliche, and I know but we have to approach each game that's in front of us. And we can't be looking about, what are we going to do in the Big Ten? What are we going to be doing in the postseason? You have to earn your way to all those things, and it starts on Friday against Loyola.
You talk about taking it one game at a time, but the reality is there's fewer time between games because of the condensed schedule.
Yeah.
From a coaching perspective, how does that impact your ability to scout and game plan and maybe make some early tweaks to lineups and schemes?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to affect your practice time for sure. We have a hectic stretch, I think 5 games in 9 days or 10 days. And so, I mean, this week of practice is very important to us to develop those habits, because the reality is you can't beat your guys up in the off days. It's got to be more keeping their bodies fresh, working on game planning the best you can without wearing those guys out. And that's where I'm going to rely on veterans. I'm hoping having a veteran team, understanding what that's about. You have certain stretches where it's happened to us in the past, but nothing like this year. And the reality is, though, it's going to be everybody's got the same type of schedule, and we have to come out of the gates, and we have to be solid with our habits on the defensive end, especially. For us, that was a calling card for us last year, was regardless of what was happening with our offense, whether we had droughts or we were shooting the ball well, our defense pretty much showed up every night, and that's where I'd like to get to, starting Friday night.
So it seemed like you guys came out playing some pretty good basketball at the start of last season. Are there any goals you've set for your team for non-conference part of the schedule this year?
Well, I think for the guys, they understand the importance of November, December. If you want to have if you want to be talked about later in the year, you can't stub your toe, in November, December. We have a very challenging schedule. I'm excited to see what we can do against good competition. The guys are looking forward to the games, and we don't have any, going undefeated or winning. We don't have any, goals like that. We really are trying to focus on the moment, focus on the present, focus on the team that's in front of us, and then see where we're at. We got the game Friday night. Focus on them. Let's see where we're at after Friday and get ourselves ready to play on Monday.
Last year, it seemed like one of the themes of the season was handling pressure.
Yeah.
Now you come to you're ranked in the top 20. Is there anything you think your guys learned about handling pressure from last year that they can take into this season? Well,
I'm not sure they'll ever play under as much pressure as they played under the last month of the season last year. I mean, I don't know that I've ever been under that kind of pressure with the tournament talk, and especially when Scotty was sick and we lost a few games, and the talk just was louder and louder, and the guys felt it and they knew it. So I don't know that we'll ever have to go through something like that. I do think it's new territory. Our guys have to get used to, and that's what good programs and good teams do. They're used to keeping an edge when people are giving them compliments. People are praising them. We haven't been praised before coming to a season. We haven't been thought up, as a top team, as someone who can compete in our conference. And that's new territory for the guys, and that's something that they got to learn to deal with and learn to play and not let that affect their attitude coming into the games.
4 years ago, you were selling chips in the student center, trying to get your own students to root for your team. Then last year you have a lot of the nation kind of jumping on this bandwagon of you guys making your first tournament. Have you had a second to sit back and think about what you've learned about yourself and about the experience these last 4 years?
I think sometimes you see old pictures of days like that, being in the Union and handing out the nachos and just trying to get people excited about what we were doing. And, you flash forward to what we saw last year, the last month, and some of those crowds and the excitement that not only within our university community, but the excitement in this area. I mean, people rallied around this team. People got excited about Northwestern basketball. It was surreal to me because it was something that I envisioned. It was something that I dreamed. But then to see it unfold and to see everything you wanted to have happen come to fruition, it does make you proud. I mean, and I'm really proud of these guys because they were the ones that kind of jumped on board with that dream, with that vision, and I was happy it was those guys that got a chance to feel all that. And now we have to realize though we got to start it all over again. And that's in the rearview mirror. We have our scrapbooks, we have our pictures. We can break them out as we get older and talk about 2017 and what it meant. But right now it's about a new season and new goals and new aspirations, and I think we're all excited to get started.